Hi Aquarius, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is the World and 10 of Pentacles and the Emperor. This is a lot of big energy. Okay, when we begin a reading with the World, it's kind of like beginning the reading with an ace, except like all of the aces put together. That's how I see the World being. The World is connected with completions of chapters, and it's also connected with the beginnings of chapters. And so having it be at the beginning of the reading feels very much like a big, important chapter is beginning. Having 10 of Pentacles, there can be important goals that are here. There can be things connected with stability, goals, family, the longevity of things as well, sustainability. I see 10 of Pentacles as things being good, and so it can be, well, when I say good, I mean more so like if things are good the way that they are, like we don't feel like we need to move a bunch of things around or change a bunch of things. It can sort of, it would be ideal if it would be lasting in that way. And also too, 10 of Pentacles is going to be something that we see as being beyond just a regular stability. It's something that we feel like can really support us and support what we want to do or support what we need to do. And it can also mean too, like having what you need to do what you want. So it can mean like I have the energy to do what I need to do, or I have the resources to do what I need to do. Energy is a resource. Or the time, or like the people to help me. It's going to be connected with that. So this chapter can be maybe about doing exactly that, maybe accomplishing something in that vein. And then also having the Emperor here too. I feel like this is just adding support to this. Seeing Saturn and seeing Aries, this can definitely be connected with Saturn and Aries. It doesn't have to be, but it can be connected with the themes, the archetypes that are connected with Aries, and also the archetypes that are connected with Saturn. Saturn is going to be about putting in work. Saturn can be about problem solving when you experience obstacles. Saturn is about repetition as well, getting good at things. The more that we repeat them, those skills that we have, those skills that we gain, and it's about not cutting corners, but actually doing what we need to be doing and then feel like it yields lasting results for us. So having that be here, for some of you, you can be seeing that now. For others of you, that can be what this big chapter is about for you. And then having the Emperor here, I feel like this is about what you feel like is important to you, because the Emperor is connected with you and yourself, like as an individual, on an individual level, what really feels important to you, what do you want to be doing, you sort of guiding yourself, being an authority within your life. Emperor also speaks about discipline. It speaks about moving strategically as well, where there's a lot of thought behind what you're doing, why you're doing it. It can be like sacrifices that we have to make in the short term for something to be better off long term. And I think it also has to do in general with our overall plan for things, how we envision things, how we want things to be, being proud of the ship that you are commanding because it's looking how you believe it should look and it's working how you believe it should work. And there can be a lot of responsibility, like having both Saturn and having both the World and having the Emperor here, having Saturn and having Aries. This does speak about responsibility, because Aries is seen as being like the leader of the pack, and so you can see yourself as leading yourself through your life. There is responsibility. There's a need to check in, to tune in, to be mindful of what it is that you're doing, to know why you're doing the things that you're doing, why you're standing for what you stand for. And Saturn also asks us to be responsible as well. Like if you say that you're going to do that, to follow through on those things. If you want something, putting in the work to actually make it happen. And that when you actually do that, Saturn will give you what you've worked for. All that being said, I am seeing 9 of Swords on the bottom of the deck, so there can be something that you're worrying about. But I do kind of feel like you have the supplies to build what you want to build, having 10 of Pentacles and having the Emperor. Because this can be like, I'm building an empire. A legacy. And working and working and working. 8 of Pentacles as well. I wonder too if you're completing something and moving to something that makes more sense for you. Like, this is what I want. Because the world is making it seem like you've completed something that you needed to complete, and you can look at it and say, I want to do something else now, or I want to make sure that I'm listening to my internal call. Okay, so because the sun, which is connected with our core, our purpose, our mission, our path, because sun is exalted in Aries, which means that it shines the brightest in Aries, we can say. It's because the sun is about your core and your ego and your self-expression. Aries is that sign where it's like, this is what I want, I'm gonna do it. This is how I want things to be, I'm gonna make it happen. And so Aries is seen as being that very determined, like militant, I'm gonna make it happen, or it will be like my dying breath that will be spent doing this because I won't give up. And so it's a really powerhouse energy to have here. It's very energetic, can be like aggressive or ready to apply when things need to be applied, pressure needs to be applied. And also too, it sort of affords you what you want as well. So what this looks like is that you've accomplished something, or like the contract is over, so you don't need to be there anymore. And then having 8 of Cups, this looks like I have accomplished this. I don't want to go another round with this anymore. I've done all I needed to do here. Because that world is like, you really have completed something, so you've really graduated. It feels like there's maybe an opportunity for you to stay doing that same thing. But I get this feeling of, this is finished for me. And now moving into the position of the Emperor, this feels like you having more say when it comes to what you're doing, because Emperor is also connected with your autonomy, your independence, with there not really being like something above you forcing you to do things. This is more so for the sake of you being in this realm and moving things around. It's going to feel like you have more of a sense of control of things, preference, that you're more so determining things as well. So even though you can look at something and say, like, look at all I've done here, and I've done all of this work, and I've learned so much, this does feel like part of the work that you've been doing is making sure that you're cultivating your life in a way where you want to be present to it and you want to live in it because you're enjoying it. And it feels like this move that you're making is connected with that. Some of you can be moving up in some way too. I see Emperor as also feeling like we're stepping onto our path. And it can be a leadership role as well. Something that's going to take some time. Can be finding where you belong, finding what you're meant to be doing. This definitely gives an energy that there is a desire to feel like you're playing a role that really holds meaning in multiple ways within your life, that it's something that is grounding, I think, in a physical way, the things that you want, so you can feel safe within that, like your needs are met in that way, I think, on an external level. And then also on an internal level, that it's cultivating what you want it to cultivate, and that this is something that takes time. Because I'm seeing Emperor be connected with Temperance. This is slowly but surely figuring things out, completing what needs to be completed, and I think easing your way into this next chapter of things. I think that this is going to be like more of a slow transition. Like, this can be the time that it takes from now until Saturn moves into Aries, and this is the slow transition that's happening currently. I feel like low key also too, you've been working on this all along to be able to step into this position. So the work that you've been doing is related to what you are stepping into. But there can be some last minute stuff that needs to be finished up. And I do feel like the timeline is connected with, like, by the time Saturn is moving into Aries, things are going to be finishing up then, and there will be more of a full transition that's made. So there's just completing what needs to be completed until that time. If there's anything that you've been doing where you can feel like you've been like abandoning your hopes or your dreams or your visions, this is also something that you can be working with too. I'm seeing Seven of Swords come up, but then I'm seeing the Star be next to it. So this feels like you can go one way, which feels like to honor your organic path that you would be stepping on, like what feels like it truly is resonating with you, and you can sort of march in that direction and follow the flow of that. Or you can go in a direction that feels like it runs away from that, the way that I'm seeing the Seven of Swords be. So we have the Star here, which this feels like the path that's connected with. It can be your healing, your hopes, and your dreams, what you feel like is organically, or like when you're being honest and when you're being true to yourself, like what you really want to do. So yeah, hopes, dreams, and all of that. Or Seven of Swords feels like, this feels like a split. You can go in this direction or you can go in that direction. And in this instance, I see Seven of Swords as you may be looking at, or a person may be looking at the things that they want or the things that they hope for, the things that they dream of, and being like, oh, that's not possible for me, or like, maybe I'd put in all that work for nothing. It's like all of this doubt and all of this, like, not believing in yourself, not believing in what you're capable of, not taking charge of things, not taking responsibility. That's what it feels like Seven of Swords would be in this instance. And so it would be like ultimately sabotaging those dreams and following that path that really is possible for you. And so this feels like it's a challenge because it's connected with the Aries energy. And I think also too, like what position you're going to take up with that. If all signs have a polarity, and so this feels like it has to do with when it comes to the Emperor stepping up in a position where you're like, I'm accountable, I'm taking charge of things, this is what I want, this is how I want my life to be, I'm going to do all that I can to make that happen, versus running away. That's what the Seven of Swords looks like to me. You can either like be up in that position and say like, I'm here and I'm taking charge, or you can run away from it with the Seven of Swords. And it looks like that is what's at play here. The thing is that the Seven of Swords isn't bad. Like, it just is something that we haven't understood yet, something that we haven't learned yet, because even though I'm seeing you be able to step into that position of the Emperor, at the same time, if you're telling yourself something else, like, I'm not ready for it, or I can't step into that position, or somebody else should be telling me what to do, like I can't just do that myself on my own regard, of my own volition. This feels like something that has to do with your Aries energy, something that has to do with your Mars energy, and however the Aries Saturn transit is going to be impacting you. And I feel like this is also about self-belief and self-trust and taking initiative, and about the dreams that you have for your life, the visions that you have for your life, the hopes that you have for your life, the desires that you have for your life. Coming back to the thing about saying like Seven of Swords isn't bad. The thing with Seven of Swords is that it's when we're not believing that what we're facing, like, we're able to do it. It's really a like self-abandonment when we have that Seven of Swords. It's like, I don't trust myself, I don't believe in myself, I can't do it. I can't do it in the way that it's being asked of me. And so I'm trying to find a route that I think really reduces and diminishes what would ultimately feel empowering to us. And it's because of like not seeing ourselves as that, because of having a relationship with the Emperor where there is a like, I haven't realized that that's me yet. But what I'm also seeing too is that it feels like starting to get tired of doing that. Like, I'm not happy doing that anymore, or I'm not really going to find what I'm looking for doing it like that, or I won't really connect with that sense of fulfillment and peace and empowerment if I keep doing things in that way. And so I want to step into this role of the Emperor. It can be something like let's say that you like to, I'm seeing like beads here and string and stuff. But let's say that you like to make necklaces or bracelets or jewelry or something like that. Just an example. And this is something that you feel very passionate about, and you were like, I'd love to have my own business doing this. It's something that like, you know that it feels really important to you, and it can be maybe about taking the leap, going from doing something that maybe you have some type of job and you're like, I'm miserable here, but it's like doing this, but I don't really want to be here, and I kind of feel like it drains my spirit. It feels like the difference between doing like what you want to do and maybe taking that chance or stepping up in that way versus saying like, I'm not capable of that, even though in your soul that's what you want to do, and being like, never mind, and like moving away from the opportunity. I think really like taking that opportunity away from yourself. And I do feel in general like this is going to be the theme of Saturn in Aries. It's just like overall what it's feeling like to me. The thing about this too is that when we have this energy with the Emperor, because it is the Emperor, it means that there needs to be self-initiation here. So nobody will force you to do this. Nobody's going to come up to you and say, I'm forcing you to quit your job and now you have to do this thing that you want to do instead. Like, you have to be the one that does that. And so that's why this energy, like if you're not ready for it or you don't want to face it, it's not going to be pushed on you and it's not going to be forced on you. You have to do this on your own. That is the key to the Emperor. This has to be self-initiated. And I feel like you are learning more and more about how to do that. And how you're going to know, like when you're in a situation where you are needed to step up and to initiate something, is when we have the Eight of Cups. It shows that there can be stuff that we have that we're doing that we're telling ourselves like, I'm good with this, or I just like made up my mind that this is going to be something that I like sacrifice my happiness for. And you don't really want to be there. And you know that you don't feel connected with that thing. And there's not that sense of responsiveness. It doesn't feel like it nourishes your soul. And this is about addressing those things. It's less so like, go do this thing even though everything else here is fine. This is like the stuff that you look at and you're like, I don't feel happy with this, or it's my dream. If I could just like leave this situation and hop somewhere else, I would do that. And this brings up the topic of like doing the work to actually make that happen, because that is possible. That it's possible for you to be there instead of here with this. There are just steps that need to be taken. And that's also what Saturn asks. Saturn is like, are you willing to do it, to put in the work? Are you willing to commit? Because if you do so, this is the prize that you're going to get. all the beauty and the glory that comes with making a choice when that is what you're motivated by. I really do feel too like Seven of Swords is fear, but it's disguised as something else, and that's why it's really easy to use it to not have to do things. Like there's something that you want really badly, and then you convince yourself otherwise, and you're like, yeah, I didn't want that anyway. And it's like this way to like psychologically manipulate yourself and manipulate your spirit based off of stuff that isn't your deeper truth, and then not having to do the thing because you've convinced yourself of that. And it's like a really convoluted way as well. Some of you, this is about soul contracts that are completing too. Stuff that it's time to move forward from, for some of you. I feel also too like there's a growing up that's happening. Like there is a venturing that's happening. There's also a growing and evolving that's happening. Whereas before, when you were smaller, there was more so the like sort of everybody else has a say except for me. And now things are moving to a place where they can really be on your terms, but it's about you appointing yourself that position. And this is something that happens over time. It's not necessarily like one day you just wake up and you're like, I'm the emperor and I make those choices now. This feels like a transition that's being made where you're not like the runt of the group anymore. Like you're the leader now, and so doing what the leader does, as you are the one leading your own life. And the learning that you're doing and the figuring things out and the understanding and the coming to terms that's happening too. And also too, the recognition of, sure, I can keep like running away from things, or I can keep dismissing things, or manipulating myself into believing that that's not really what I want. And then getting to a place where you realize that you're just cheating yourself at the end of the day, and cheating of yourself of what would feel fulfilling and happy and feel like it connects and fits the right way within your life. And that is what you would give up by not stepping into this position. That's also too why this isn't a game of what's good and what's bad or what you should or shouldn't do. It's all about the experience that you want to be having and what needs to be done depending on the experience that you want. And sometimes the lesson is making the choices and having that experience over and over again that we don't want. Sometimes that really is it. But you can also look at this and say, I don't want that to be the experience anymore. I don't want that to be the lesson. I've learned my lesson now. I'm done with that. And I want something different then. And then you do something different. So there's a making peace with things, with these old cycles, so you can close them out and so you can continue. And I do really feel like this is a very big thing that is taking place, that is beginning to unfold. It's the start of a really big new chapter. But honestly, like what this feels like to me is the time before. So Saturn is soon going to be moving into Aries in Western astrology. If you go back to when Aries was in Saturn before, like years ago, it feels like that cycle is the one that's ending. So it's like the 2.5-ish years that Saturn is in each of the 12 zodiac signs, that process is coming to an end now, and it feels like that book is closing. Like we are on the last chapter of things, and that's closing out, and that we're going to be beginning a new book, and it starts with Saturn moving into Aries, and that's when the new book starts. I'm seeing Aries here, I'm seeing Sagittarius, and I'm hearing Gemini. I'm also seeing Aquarius. And we have Saturn here. This feels too like understanding these things so that being present to your life currently and moving forward with things can happen too, and that it doesn't have to be like those cycles before. It feels like there was a lot of disruptive stuff that was going on, or there was a lot of difficult stuff, or there was a lot of things where it didn't feel so stable, or it didn't feel so secure, or it could have felt like constantly having things like knocked away or swept away, and that stuff wasn't just there and sturdy and lasting and supportive for you. And now this is about stepping into a timeline that is going to promote that, and that being your choice at the end of the day. And that this really will yield the results that you want, having that 10 of Pentacles be there. Like there will be achievement, there will be yielding of results that you want, and you will also feel pleased with the position that you have appointed yourself. And that you do get to have a say, and that you do get to have a voice. And also too, that I think Aries is also about that, the bravery to match what you feel in here and to do that externally, to be driven by that. So it's for things to feel like they're in alignment with your core self. And again, like I feel too like that's part of the reason why Aries, the sun is exalted when it's in Aries, because Aries is that like having the courage to do the things that need to be done. And if the sun is about our core and the honest self, the honest like feelings that we have and that truth within how we want to express ourselves, Aries is the sign that will be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, because it is connected with that bravery and with the courage to actually do these things that we want to do, or that we feel like are our truths, and to follow that and to believe in ourselves and to try as hard as we can. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.